disgusting, disturbing, and outright unacceptable. Children were watching that game. Welcome back to Power Rankings, Week 7, NFL. Here we're going to do it 14-1, ranking who I think are going to be the best teams in the NFL at this moment. Let's get started. In the previous couple weeks, I did 16 and 15, but for this week, I'm going to just leave those 2 spots for the 10 teams still in the Tank Bowl. That's right. There are currently 10 teams with 2 wins or less, all competing for that coveted spot, except the current last place team, the Panthers, who have 0 wins and do not get their first round pick anyways. I don't know why they're even playing for it, but you know what? Maybe they just like the Bears that much. Nothing wrong with a little love from city to city. Now let's get started into the real rankings. At 14, 13, and 12, I'm going to have the Saints, the Falcons, and the Bucks. This is the second time this year that those 3 teams got to be in the bottom of my power rankings altogether. Panthers obviously had to be excluded each one of those times. That's just fine. It's just fine. They're all tied up. The division is wide open. I do think the Bucks are the best ones out of the 3. The Bucks got their pants handed right back to them after the mutilation that those Lions gave them. And the Falcons lost. And the Saints lost. So maybe they don't deserve to be in these spots. All right, we're going to change it up. We're going to leave the Bucks in one of these 3 spots, and we're going to replace the Falcons and the Saints with the Rams and the Seahawks. At number 11, we're going to have the Browns. For the first time ever, I actually have to care about this team in a competitive sense. The last time this happened, well, the Bengals were terrible, so it didn't really matter. This is really the first time I ever remember in my life that I have to give a shit about the Browns. I don't like it. PJ Walker was in last week. He didn't do all that well. Whatever his name, Robinson, did even worse the week before, and quite frankly, Watson's not that good. But their defense is legitimate. Shut down the 49ers, and that's what you needed to do. Got in their heads, they went away with the W, and they are commandingly going to be in my power rankings. Now, perhaps they don't deserve number 11. Perhaps they actually deserve a spot higher than 11. That's very possible, but I couldn't do that because here I'm a homer. So I have to put at number 10, my Bengals. That's right, and I don't care. Yes, I have the Bengals high on this list, but it's my list, and you can't have my list. So tell me in the comments where you think that everything should be on this list. Tell me in the comments if the Bengals even deserve to be on this list. The Bengals do, however, get a power boost for the unconditional love that Joe Burrow has for his teammates after he grabbed the first touchdown pass for his teammate. I do think that Joe Burrow has been healing from his injury. I do think we should have rested him a little bit in the beginning of this season. Maybe we could have another win on the board, but he did kind of heal up there pretty quickly. We have our bye going into this week, which is perfect timing, so hopefully he can get to as close as 100% as he possibly can be. I really think that going forward this season, the Bengals are going to be their dominant selves again. I think we have a true run at the division title, though the Browns and Ravens are not going to make it easy on us. I do think that the Bengals are solidly at least in the top 14 in the NFL right now. At number 9, I'm going to have the Jaguars. After hanging in there with the Bills in London and making sure to get a win there, this week they hang in there and they decided to beat the Colts. And on the stat lines, the only thing they had more of was rushing yards, passing yards, time of possession. Everything else, the Colts ran away with, and they still managed to win. Why? Safe with the ball, no turnovers. The Colts had 3, and they capitalized on them. That is what championship-level teams do. You're going to be seeing these Jaguars this entire season, and they are a team that you do not want your team to face, and you're going to see them in playoffs. At number 8, I'm going to have to put the Cowboys. I don't like putting them on this list at all. I really think they're an extremely meh team. I kind of thought that the entire time this season. But somehow they keep pooping out some wins. They're 4-2, but they look like a 2-4 team. I just don't get it. Well, anyways, they got 4 wins, so they got to be in my power rankings. And I'm going to have them on number 8. Maybe this is a little higher. Maybe this is where the Browns belong. But I couldn't justify the Bengals being higher, and I had to have the Browns below the Bengals, so potato, potato. I guess I didn't have to have them below the Bengals. Too late. I already did that part of the video. We're not going back and re-recording. That would be responsible and a good idea. We don't have those here. Cowboys at number 8. At number 7, we're going to have the Bills, dropping down a few more pegs from last week. I know they got the win, but they didn't score until the fourth quarter. They let the Giants have a lead on them for most of the game and almost gave the game away in the end. Disgusting, disturbing, and outright unacceptable. Children were watching that game. Little young children had to watch as the Giants had a lead. What are we doing here? Bills, you're lucky to even be on this list after that terrible example of foosball. But you're still on the list. I still like you. And I actually think that they will be able to get this right. And going forward, even if it does take a little bit, the Bills will be a dominant force in this league this season. The Chiefs at number 6. Yeah, they keep winning, but these are kind of ugly too. I don't know. Again, they keep winning. They're 5-1. So, I mean, what are you even going to say? But, I mean, this past week, they should have spanked the Broncos. Even being a divisional game, and I know divisional games go the way they go. Jesus, man. If I was a Chiefs fan, I'd be getting a little worried about this season. They need to get some things right and start having some more commanding leads. They only put up 16 points against an extremely bad Broncos team. If they don't get that right going into the playoffs, though that's a long time away, they're going to have some problems. So they dropped down another spot as well, and they're at number 6 this week. At number 5, I'm going to have to put the Ravens. I know they only have 4 wins versus the Chiefs' 5, but I feel the wins they've gotten were a little bit more substantive, and you know it's going to take a lot for me to put the Ravens this high in the list. I don't even lie about being a homer. But what I do have to respect about the Ravens is they went over to Europe, and they showed the Europeans that American football still has a foot on the ball. They scored only kicks. Justin Tucker coming out clutch. Greatest kicker in NFL history for sure. Getting them the W with the foot in the land of football, soccer ball, football, where American football is going into foot the ball. That's what you do. They're going to have to be higher on this list because of that. So Ravens at number 5. Number 4, the Eagles. Wow, lost to the Jets. I guess the Jets do at least have a good defense, but they really should have been able to outscore them. They're going to lose 2 spots because of that. Number 3, we're going to have the 49ers. Wow, lost to the Browns, but at least the Browns do have a good defense. They really should have been able to outscore them, though. They're going to have to move down 2 spots because of it. At number 2, we're going to have the Lions. And hot damn, Detroit hanging in there, doing a good job. 5-1, tied for first in the entire NFL. When was the last time that happened? Wow, good job. It appears nobody's going to be beating Goff anymore. No, not after the Lions just started fucking everyone. Now, due to strength of opponent overall, though it is very close, I'm keeping them in the number 2 spot. Though I promise you, Lions, if you win next week, I will put you in the number 1 spot, despite what happens. Even if my number 1 team here gets a win as well, I will flip-flop you guys. You will get the number 1 spot if you win next week. You will prove me correct. But at number 1, we're going to have the Miami Dolphins. And it was so close between if I put them or the Lions up there. But I think that overall, personally, that they are just a little bit of a better team from examples so far this year. Again, it's really close. Next week, they're going to be up against the Eagles. And I think I'm going to have the Dolphins beating the Eagles. The Eagles are a good team, but I just think that the Dolphins are a little bit better. The Dolphins did play the Panthers this week and let them go 14 points up on them to start out, which is pretty embarrassing in itself. But let's just say that they were feeling bad for them and needed to get some practice on some situations where they needed a comeback. That's not what happened, but I'm going to say it's what happened. But either way, the Dolphins are going to be hanging in there at number 1 for this week. Well, everyone, I hope you enjoyed this week's Power Rankings. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. We appreciate it, and we will see you next week. Have a good night.